Well, tough night in College Station. Mississippi State takes a hit against Texas A&M. What went wrong, and where do we go from here? Let's break it down.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. My name is Jaron Spor. I'm a national college football writer at Athlon Sports. That's Landon McBride. We've got a recap show for you today. We'll talk about the offense, talk about the defense, and then we will give out our top dog of the week to close things out. But first, let's start with the offense, Landon. It was an ugly showing in the 31-9 loss to the now number 5 Texas A&M Aggies.
Yeah, it was really – that first drive obviously was bad, but then the second – drive they actually showed where they got the field goal, showed a little life, and it kind of looked like they found a rhythm, and then they never really found it again.
What did you think, real quick, because I saw this was a big conversation on that second drive. They get to a 3rd and goal at the 1. What did you think about bringing Taylor in, which ended up being a false start, which is why they had to settle for the field goal?
I mean, I get it why you do it there. I think they should have done it more, maybe not necessarily bring Taylor in specifically, but things like that, more reads, more, because the middle of the field was open, and then they kind of closed it down a little bit. And if you just keep it on a couple reads around the outside, you're going to open up that middle again.
The people that were upset with it were upset because you were rolling on that drive, and then you bring in something that throws everything off, and then it ends up being a penalty.
I mean, I get why you do it and why you don't do it. I think either way, whether you're for it or against it, you're kind of playing the result on that one. And since it didn't work, then it's a bad call. If it had worked, it's a great call. It's one of those. It was a lose-lose, really, no matter how it shook out. But, I mean, I get why you do it. He's great in short yardage. He just adds a whole other element. But you are rolling at that point.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I probably would have just given it to Fluff because he was kind of dominating at that point. But we know that they've brought in Kamario Taylor a couple times in short yardage position all season, really. The play that was brutal to me was the big 22-yard run by Booth because he trips up over his own feet at like midfield. And if he doesn't trip, he's gone. I mean, it's a touchdown. Yeah. It's a walk-in touchdown.
Yeah, the turf monster got him there.
Yeah, and that was really – that drive was really the only bright spot. I mean, yes, they had the touchdown late in the game, which was a 5-play, 75-yard drive. Took a minute 20, shaping through a strike to Brennan Thompson for 44 yards. But at that point, the game was already decided. So it's just that one drive where they got the field goal was really it. And, you know, we – questioned all last week. It sounds like a lot of, especially A&M fans, don't really remember what we actually said because we got a lot of people responding to us, asking us, "Oh, what are your thoughts now?" And it's like we said all week, A&M's a good team. They just been inconsistent on both sides. And so our biggest question was, what team would we see? And really, we saw the team from last weekend, which was the team that for most of the game, which was the team that was really good defensively, but not very good offensively. And it wasn't until the 4th quarter that the offense for A&M started taking over. And at that point, the defense was just gassed for Mississippi State. And that's the offense's fault that they were gassed because 21 minutes is all Mississippi State held the ball for. 38 minutes was Texas A&M. Texas A&M shot themselves in the foot a lot with penalties. I understand that. They finished with 303 yards rushing in the game. They only threw for 180 yards. But this was my complaint, and I tweeted this out during the game. The up-tempo offense has advantages. It has some things that are really good about it. But when you're constantly going 3 and out, you have to stop doing it. The reason is because of what happened in the 4th quarter. Mississippi State went 1 for 10 on 3rd downs. In the 4th quarter, their defense played really good the first 3 quarters. 4th quarter, they're done. They're gassed. They're out of it. And that's when the floodgates started opening offensively for Texas A&M, especially on the ground. And it's all because of the constant short drives. First drive, 4-play punt, minute 52. Then you do have the one decent drive that took about 6 minutes. Then 3 plays, -1 yards, a minute 49. Then 3 plays, 3 yards, a minute 41. Then 5 plays, 29 yards, a minute 24. That was the interception, which result came after an interception where you had some momentum, and then Shapen throws a pick. He was hit as he threw it, but it seemed like he thought he had a lot more time than he actually did.
Yeah.
Then they go 3 plays, 0 yards, 28 seconds. Then they go 5 plays, 13 yards to start the half at 2 minutes and 19 seconds. Then they go 3 plays, 9 yards, a minute 50. 3 plays, 5 yards, a minute 24. 1 play, the fumble, 13 seconds. Then they had the 5 play, 75 yards, but it was a minute 20, which, hey, you scored a touchdown. You're not going to complain about it being a minute 20. And then the last drive was 5 plays, 3 yards, a minute 34. So they had, what, 2 drives that lasted over 2 minutes the whole game?
Yeah, it was bad. It was so fast. And at some point, you have to pull the trigger. Like, yes, we know that's Lebby's identity, but at some point, he has to be the head coach and not the offensive coordinator.
Yes.
And realize he is putting his defense in a bad situation.
Yep.
And that's what was happening. And, I mean, it worked. I mean, obviously it didn't work offensively, but you didn't see like the massive negative effects until that fourth quarter. It was 14-3. You are honestly one big play from being right back in the game at that point. And then it just fell apart so fast. It just snowballed on them it went from, hey, there's a chance, this could be a game, to warm up the bus.
Yeah.
So fast.
That is my biggest concern about Lebby going forward, because I think he's done a lot of nice things. And I want people to tune in to Tuesday's podcast, because now that it's bye week, we don't have a press conference that we're going to talk about. He'll probably be open for the media at some point. We can talk about it then. But I wanted to kind of do a state of the program heading into the bye week. So we'll get into this more. But I think he's done a good job. But the best head coaches are the ones that can adapt. Like, yes, this is what we do, but we have to be able to adapt to some stuff that we don't always do if it betters the program. And I'm not saying constantly. I'm not saying the whole game they go away from the up-tempo offense. I'm just saying in the third quarter, when you're doing nothing offensively and you can start to tell, hey, my defense is starting to wear down, you need to start extending drives, and you need to start doing that by, one, taking some clock down, but also getting some first downs as well. For example, it's 14-3 going into the fourth quarter. Texas A&M goes on a 10-play, 79-yard drive that lasts 5.5 minutes, basically. You come right out and fumble, so 13 seconds. Then they go and score within 2 minutes. The defense is on the field. Just we're on the field for 6.5 minutes. You fumble, then they're on the field for another 2.5 minutes. You do go score in a minute 28. That's great. But now they're on the field again. So, the defense was on the field the entire fourth quarter, and you have to be able to adjust as an offense.
Yeah, you have to be. And, some of that comes down to the players making plays. There were a lot of, you mentioned it was Shapen on a couple plays thinking he had more time than he did. The fumble from Evans. I mean, the offensive line didn't play too bad. There were a couple plays where they just got beat. I mean, that's going to happen on some blitz packages. But the offense just wasn't coherent. They weren't clicking. Things weren't working the whole game. And some of that is on the players for not executing correctly. But Lebby had to be ready to pull the trigger on that up-tempo.
I'm glad you brought up the offensive line. They were without 2 starters in that game. Obviously, Steen's been out for a while, but Albert Reese was out, and he's been arguably the best offensive lineman on the team. It's already an offensive line that's not great. It's an average one at best. It's an offensive line and a team as a whole, but especially with the offensive line, it's not very deep yet because they're still fairly early in the rebuild. They were not great. I'm not trying to pretend they're great, but one thing that frustrates me about football fans is they always think if something goes wrong, it has to be this thing that went wrong. And it can't be, hey, there's actually multiple things that went wrong. For example, if a running back gets tackled for a loss, you immediately see people go to Twitter, man, the offensive line was terrible on that play. But then actually, if you watch it back, it's actually the running back went to the wrong hole, or the running back didn't do this, or it all is connected. And that's not to say the offensive line is never wrong. They are wrong. They make mistakes. They do that. But you have to be able to look at it as a whole. So I bring that up to say, was the offensive line good in pass protection yesterday or on Saturday? No, they were not good at all. Was Blake Shapen holding on to the ball too long? Yes, he absolutely was. Both things can be true, and they were true.
Yeah, the offensive line wasn't great, but we knew they aren't great. And that's a very good.
And we knew A&M was a great defensive line.
And they played about as well as you could expect them to, given their current talent level, who they were missing, and what they were going up against. And Shapen just didn't do him any favors. The running backs helped him out as much as they could, making some great cuts, getting yardage that honestly didn't look like it was there. There were a couple, they don't show up, look great in a box score, but those 2-yard runs where they're getting hit in the backfield. So, just about all they could.
I already had someone on Twitter I went back and forth with who was already done with load hold. I'm like, what? Like, what are we doing here? Like, first off, he didn't get hired in the winter, so he didn't have the winter portal. He said the spring portal. He obviously had to build one of the worst offensive line in college football last year. He still is building it, and it's still a work in progress. But no one with a brain can watch them play and think load hold is a problem. Like, seriously. And we're seeing what he's doing recruiting, too. He's been incredible recruiting. But the guy was like, well, they're missing assignments. Every offensive line in the country misses assignments.
NFL line miss assignments.
Exactly. All the time. It happens all the time. So them missing assignments is going to happen. The best offensive lines, the best offensive line coaches have players that miss assignments. It just happens. But all right, we got to get into the defense. That one's actually been a little more of a positive in this game, but we'll talk about that coming up next. Well, Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton cross-training tread powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. I know a lot of people that use the Peloton. They love how the Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks your reps, suggests the right weights, and corrects your form, making every rep safer and smarter. The swivel screen is also a game changer. You can go from running on the tread to strength training without missing a beat. And the personalized class recommendations keep you engaged. You get workouts tailored to your vibe and energy level each week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread today at onepeloton.com. Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Landon, what did you think of the defense?
Honestly, they looked pretty good for 3 quarters of this game. Like we mentioned, the fourth one, they were just on the field so much. You started to see just fatigue really wearing on them, and some of the bigger plays started, they're just more big plays were happening. They started out with a great 4th down stop inside the 5 that held the Aggies scoreless early in the game.
Yeah, that was massive.
That was huge. There were a couple good plays on the defensive line. You're seeing some guys win a little bit more. Got some pressure early, forced Reed off his spot, messed with the timing. There were a couple times you saw Reed double clutch to where he wasn't exactly sure kind of like what he was seeing or if that was actually the right place to go with it. So there were a lot of good things. The box score is not going to tell you there were a lot of good things, but the majority of the first 3 quarters, there were some good things.
I thought they played really well. Yeah. I really did. Obviously the 4th quarter wasn't great, and that's why the box score numbers look better than they do. Craver, ended up with 6 catches, 80 yards, 4 catches for 61 for Concepcion, but both of those guys were held in check through 3 quarters. Ruben Owens had 142 yards rushing. Again, almost all of that was in the 4th quarter. Le'Veon Moss only had 36 yards on 3.3 yards per carry. Even Craver's 28-yard run, that was in the 4th quarter. So, again, a lot of this stuff happened in the 4th quarter. They still held Marcel Reed, who's been really good passing the ball this year, to only 180 yards. I thought the defense was pretty good. If you told me before the game, hey, Mississippi State is going to hold A&M to 14 points at home, head to the 4th, you're taking that every day a week. And you might even honestly, if you had told me that before the game, I would have said, oh, they're winning this game. Like, they're at least in the lead, going to the fourth without knowing what happens in the fourth. So I thought they played really well. I mean, just looking at their drive charts, it was a lot of bend but don't break.
Yeah.
A&M's first drive, 8 plays, 31 yards, but forced the punt. They did force a 3-and-out the next drive. Then was the 17-play drive that they get the goal line stand, which is kind of becoming a theme with this team.
Yeah.
Then, of course, they're Mississippi State's taking the ball over at the 2-yard line, and they go 3-and-out, of course. So then Texas A&M right back in great field position, and what they do, they pick them off. Then obviously they had the touchdown right before half, but then they come out 3-and-out, then force a 7-play punt, and then A&M scored a touchdown right before the end of the third quarter. So I really thought, 3 quarters, that's about as good as you could have asked them to play.
It really is. This is a very high-powered offense. And when you play a team with the kind of speed that A&M has, you almost have to play bid but don't break type of defense, because if you really kind of press them, they're going to run past you at some point. Going into this season, I wasn't sure if Hutzler was a guy who could turn this defense around, but it turns out like he's made some great adjustments. He's really figured out his personnel and how to move them around to get the most out of them. You could tell this team missed Isaac Smith.
Very much, yeah.
You can see that.
That's another thing was so impressive by the first 3 quarters. You didn't have Isaac Smith, and you were playing really good football.
Right, and I'm not saying if he's out there, this game goes differently, but it could have maybe helped it not unravel as quickly if you have him out there. Because, I mean, on top of being the best player, he's the leader of the defense. So, I mean, you tell it hurt him, but some of those guys in the front 7 are starting to step up a little bit. Saw a couple plays from Malik Silla. He looked pretty good. Zakari's starting to really make some plays. He's flashing he's flashing more and more. Brandon Jennings had a couple nice plays again. So some guys are starting to find their roles and step up. It's just they have to be able to take that next step and actually finish these things.
And I thought Jahron Manning had a really good game. Obviously led the team with 13 tackles, which is what you're going to need when you lose a guy like Isaac Smith. But I just thought every single time I watched a play happen, it felt like Manning was around the football.
Yeah, he was always there.
Yeah, he played really good. Now, the negatives. You finished the game with 2 TFLs and only 1 sack in the whole game. I tweeted it multiple times. I was worried that the game was going to be a blowout early in that game because of how much time Reed had to throw every time he dropped back to pass. Every time he dropped back, he could have just stood there, checked the wind, done everything he wanted to, and then throw the football. And that's why I was so impressed by the secondary through 3 quarters and really the whole game, because they still didn't give up a ton of passing yards even at the end, was because they had all day to throw, and that's a long time to cover, and that's a long time to make a really good defensive team cover, and they just were great in coverage.
Yeah, they really were, and they'd send blitzes at smart times because you obviously can't cover those guys one-on-one for very long, but they picked their spots with the blitzes, and they only got home once, the 2 tackles for loss, but they did move him off his spot a couple times, which helped.
Yeah.
He still had way too much time to pass, but I think some of that is also you're having to dedicate a lot of resources to coverage. So you're going to just, I mean, it's blitz or die by the blitz in that situation.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing that I think the one thing that this defense is missing is some pass rush and some guys to make some negative plays. And that's what you build in recruiting. But all right, coming up next, we will talk about our top dog of the week. Don't go anywhere.
This episode is brought to you by Square, your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that make the neighborhood the neighborhood. These are the places that become an extension of home, whether it's the sports bar dedicated to your team's fan base, the spot with the best wings in town for game day, or that beloved local chain that's been rooted in your community for years. These businesses are what bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. We all know those spots, the local, the coffee shop up the road that you go into almost every morning, or, spend your weekend mornings there, and they know your name, know your order, one of your orders if you have a couple different options. And when you spend money at places like that, the local places, it keeps it in that money in the community, which lifts up the whole community. And it just, use this as an excuse to go find your favorite local spot or find a favorite local spot and just have yourself a day in the neighborhood. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And I love how FanDuel just gives you so many options to play. And my favorite is the live lines during the games. You're watching them, you're getting into the game, you see someone getting hot, put a little money on him, defense locking someone up, you go against some guys on that offense with those live lines. So whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Landon, who is your top dog of the week?
This was kind of a hard game to pick someone who was the best for. I'm going with Booth. He had a great game. 8 carries for 59 yards. It's almost 7.5 yards per carry. And if he doesn't get tripped up on that one run, that's most likely a touchdown, and that average is way higher.
Yeah. I looked at Bothwell and Booth because I thought it was just terrible that they didn't get the ball more. 22 carries for both of them for almost 120 yards and well over 5 yards per carry. They had the long drive that ended in a field goal where they just ran it down their throat, and then they come out the next drive, 3 straight pass plays and go 3 and out. Yeah. And it just, I just did not understand. And I understand you want balance, and I understand you want to keep teams off balance, but you got to do what's working, man. I don't know what they were doing on a lot of that play calling.
Same.
I actually just went, I kind of cheated because I wanted to give respect to the secondary as a whole. Just because, again, we came into the game and I said that's probably the 2 best receivers you'll see as a duo all season long, and maybe the 2 best in college football. And, all of them played really well. Manning played really well. Kelly Jones had the interception. He did get the PI, which my only complaint with that was it was PI for those out there. But A&M did the same thing like 2 drives later and didn't get called for it. Like the exact same thing. And so I just want to see it called both ways if you're going to call it.
Right.
Which, again, in my opinion, it is PI. So I was fine with it. But, yeah, no, Kelly Jones was really good in the game. Jahron Manning was really good. Tony Mitchell even came in and played really well in the game. He had, 5 tackles? Yeah. So I just thought there was a lot of guys out there that especially in that secondary, that played really well. And when you don't have a pass rush, it's even harder to play well in the secondary. And they held their own really the whole game. The fourth quarter was more of A&M dominating the run game and not the passing game.
Yeah, they played really well. Kelly Jones had a pretty good game. But, I also don't hate those type of pass interference calls because if you don't go for it, it's a touchdown anyway. So,
a 50-yard touchdown.
Just take him out and, hope you don't get called for it.
Yeah. And for those at home that's like, he didn't have to do it because it was a bad pass. He doesn't know it's a bad pass.
Yeah.
He knows he's beat, and he knows it's going to be a touchdown if it is a good pass. And so he's got to kind of assume that.
Yeah, and then when you're wide open, there's a lot more leeway on what is a good versus bad pass too. So sometimes you just got to do it, and I have no problem when people do that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I just, shout out the secondary, and they're going to have to do it all year because it's going to be,
they get easier.
Right, and they were able to get some pressure on the lower level teams. You're not going to be able to do that in the SEC unless someone on the defensive line just starts playing better, and they're not right now. So, and they're limited as a talent. They just are. But, all right, it's another big moment on Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch college football kickoff every Thursday throughout the season only on Fire TV. Well, I'm Jaron. Check out my work over at Athlon Sports. That's Landon. Follow us, Locked On Mississippi State. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. We post daily videos Monday through Friday. Obviously, no game this week, so there won't be any pre- or post-game video, but we do that as well when there is a game on Saturdays. So, yeah, until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.